What's going on, everybody? I'm James Young with jamesyoung.io, and this is Teach Me How to Lightroom. Today, we're taking a look at how to edit this drone RAW file. I shot this with a DJI Phantom 4 Pro, and we're gonna take it from here, boom, to there. Now, don't forget, there is a link in the description for the RAW file. You can download it for free and follow this exact tutorial and get this exact result. Or even better, you can take it in a different direction and show me what you came up with. Tag me on Instagram, tag me on Facebook, whatever you want to do. I would love to see what you came up with. But let's take a look on how to edit this drone photography. So right off the bat, I know that I want to warm this image up just a little bit. Our color temperature here is at 11,000 right now. We're going to scroll a little bit to the right and get close to about 14,000 or so, and bring those warmer tones back into the image. Now for our exposure, we're just gonna cut this down just a little bit. We're gonna go about minus 0.10. There we go. For our contrast, we're gonna bump this up quite a bit. We're going about plus 50 or so. There we go. Now our highlights, obviously this is a pretty bright day. This is during sunrise. So all the buildings over here and whatnot, they're all kind of really sunny. So we're gonna really cut down the highlights a lot. So we're going minus 100 on these. Then on our shadows, we're gonna pump these up quite a bit, about plus 70 here. Our whites, we're gonna open them up just a little bit, about plus 10 or 12, there we go. Then the blacks, we're gonna bring these down to about minus 50 or so. There we go. So there we have it, some of our basic corrections there already in the pocket. Let's move on down to presence. We are gonna add quite a bit of clarity here. We're gonna do about plus 55. We're gonna do about plus 35 or so. There we go. Then we're gonna continue our pursuit of contrast here with the dehaze. So we're gonna do about plus 10 here on dehaze, and that's just gonna cut through, obviously, some of the haze found in the image. Definitely off to a good start as we attack our colors here with vibrance and saturation. We're gonna cut down on the colder tones quite a bit here, about minus 25. There we go. And then our overall saturation, we're just gonna cut down that bite just a little bit by going about minus 5. Very good. Now for our tone curve, as we scroll down just a little bit, we're gonna add a point smack dab in the middle, and then we're gonna add a couple of points to the leftmost section of our point curve. Because what we're gonna do is give this thing a little bit of a matte finish. So we're gonna take this leftmost point and really raise this up, take our point that's a little bit further to the left and raise that up just a little bit as well. And there we go for now. We're gonna raise this up just a hair here. And the tone curve, of course, is something that you're gonna wanna play around with. There's a lot of fluidity involved here, and you can take this any direction you want, but you can see what we did here when we turn the tone curve off, turn it back on. Some of those darker tones, we raise those up and crush the blacks just a little bit. And as we continue to darken some of the tones, you'll see that take effect even more. So let's start finessing some of the colors here as we make our way down to the HSL. And we're gonna start with our red hue. We're gonna cut this down to about minus 30. We're gonna up our oranges about plus 20 or so. Very good. Go about plus 10 on our yellows. For our aquas, we're gonna make these a little bit more blue by making them about plus 30. For our blues, we're gonna make them a little more teal by making these minus 10. There we go. And we're not gonna affect our purples or magentas. As we make our way down to saturation, let's cut these yellows just a little bit by going about minus 35. We're gonna cut any greens that might have seeped into the image by going minus 50. Our aquas, we're gonna cut these down just a little bit as well, minus 15. Our blues, we're gonna cut these a little bit, about minus 25. And our purples, minus 10. We're gonna leave magenta where it's at. For our luminance, we're not changing any of these colors here, but we are gonna introduce a little bit of split toning as we make our way down further down the module. So what we're gonna wanna do here is go about 70 on highlights here. Perfect. And then for our shadows, we're gonna go about 30 on the hue. And on both of these, we're gonna go about plus anywhere between 5 and 10, about 7 is cool. And you can see here that really introduced some more warmth into the image. Cool. And then you can see here with our HSL, as we turn that off and on, that we're really balancing out the tonal spectrum here. So there is another area in which we want to adjust the colors. So we're going to scroll all the way down to our calibration. And for here, our blue primary, we're going to make this all the way teal by going to the left. And then with our reds, we're going to kind of go in the middle here, about plus 50 or so. And that's going to give us that nice teal and orange type of feel and give it a much more cinematic type effect. Great, so the overall colors and everything like that, I'm totally satisfied with, but we want to kind of round out the image and do a couple of things specific for this image that will really set it off. So I'm gonna add a very slight vignette, like -5 or so, very, very subtle. There we go. Another thing I want to do is introduce a little bit of sharpening and noise reduction. I can see here that we're getting a little noisy here, especially in the sky. So I'm just going to sharpen it just a little bit, like maybe 60 or so. But then on our noise reduction, we're going to do like somewhere around 50 and really kind of smooth out the situation in the sky. That looks much better. Now, the last thing I want to do to round out this image in particular is to take the graduated filter. You can press M on your keyboard if you're feeling perky. And we're gonna add a couple of graduated filters here. Maybe like -0.3, so like a third stop on exposure. And drag down from the top while you're holding shift. And that's going to give us a nice graduated filter on the way down. And then we're gonna do the same thing from the bottom coming up, also while holding shift. And ultimately what that's going to do is make our eyes come straight to the center of the image here. Matter of fact, I think 0.3 might even be too much. Let's do like -0.15. There we go. That's a little bit better there. And look what happens here. So as we turn this off and turn it back on, it really draws our eye to this skyline. So you can see how important the edit is when you're dealing with drone photography. So let's go ahead and close the graduated filter here. This is, in my opinion, totally ready to print. I'm totally satisfied with this image. So let's go ahead and go in full screen here. And bam, I love it. This is totally ready for me to print and ready to put on my walls. But you tell me, how did you edit this photo? Did you do something different? I would love to see it. Make sure to post it on Instagram or Facebook and tag me in it so I can see. And of course, don't forget that there is that free raw file down in the description below. So if you learned something today, it would be awesome if you left a like on the video. And if this is your first video, it would also be awesome if you subscribed. Well, I'm James Young with jamesyoung.io, and this is Teach Me How to Lightroom.